What's good, Lifestyle Podcast? Welcome back to the channel with Jared. Y'all, today we're going to be doing a video from the lovely Pink Book Lessons. Shout out to her. Now, keep in mind, I do not own any of Pink Book Lessons' videos as well as any other videos that I do on my channel. I do not own any of these videos that I review. And, I want you to see something here. And I want you to listen to this.
Is going to tape the thing with Joe Rogan. Do you think she should do that?
I think that she should keep calling Donald Trump a fascist. And I think that Americans need to keep looking at the rhetoric of Donald Trump, because I don't know why we're even thinking about electing somebody who's talking about putting people in camps. I don't know why why we want to elect somebody who's talking about mass deportation. I don't know why we're having this conversation about somebody who wants to terminate the Constitution to overthrow the results of an election. Aren't we supposed to be a patriotic country? Whenever somebody like Colin Kaepernick takes a knee in this country, everybody talks about, oh, that's so unpatriotic. But a guy can say he wants to terminate the Constitution to overthrow the results of an election and nobody cares.
And
like even me bringing it up now, you brought it back to Kamala and Joe Rogan. Anderson?
Yeah.
Who gives a damn?
Well, I mean, I think you give damn who's elected president, and
yeah,
I'm asking you.
That president is a fascist. That's talking about putting people in camps. That's talking about, once again, terminating the Constitution to overthrow the results of an election. That's talking about, jailing his political opponents. Yeah. Like, that rhetoric doesn't scare people.
And see, this is why you can't take these shills seriously. Honestly, everything that he's saying that he's trying to use to describe Trump is actually describing Nancy Pelosi, Biden, and Kamala. Biden just said the other day he wanted to lock up his political opponent, and Nancy Pelosi and Kamala, they booted Biden out to put Kamala in. What do you mean democracy when nobody voted for her? Really? Now they're starting to turn on each other. Kamala's campaign is going down in flames, and now all these folks in the fake mainstream media that's been colluding with each other to lie to us about Kamala Harris, they're starting to lash out on each other. I'll explain more in a second, but look, the bought and paid for a boule shill Angela Rye went on CNN Anderson Cooper. She's just a chihuahua with no power or real influence herself, so she couldn't really deliver the blow to the mainstream media like she wanted. That's why she enlisted her simp enforcer Leonard McKelvey, aka Charlemagne the God, to be the Rottweiler for Kamala and the black feminists. All those misandrists working behind the scenes to trick the black community into supporting this Indian lady. It's the black feminists working with the white feminists to bring down the black men and the white men, as well as any of the women who are actually thinking logically like the men. Yeah.
All I'm gonna say is this and this is about the black and white feminists. Let me ask y'all a question. If I have any feminists that listen to my channel and that love to sit here and spew hate against me, or any men that agree with me, or any women that agree with me, let me ask y'all something. This supposed idea of feminism. Let me ask you a question. If men didn't allow you to be a quote-unquote feminist and allow you to spew all of this bullshit hate on the media, on the radios, in life, in public, everywhere. If men wasn't there to keep men in check, do you really think that y'all could say the shit that y'all say online and that shit would be okay, and you just get away with it? To all of the feminists that keep on spewing this bullshit about men all the time, do you think that if men didn't allow this shit, do you really think that this shit would be going on? All of these laws and shit that y'all think that y'all fight for, do y'all really think that men just have so little power to the point where you can command and control the world as you say? And that's an honest question. Y'all sit here and spew all of this hate against men, but these are the very men that allow you to do the things and say the things that you say. If men commanded it, you wouldn't have a job. If men commanded it, you will be back at home If men commanded it, your ass would be cooking and cleaning and washing dishes at home, having this supposed quote unquote soft life that a lot of you talk about. So if you want to be honest about the subject, the simps that you love to use so much, those are the ones that are allowing you to stay in power, supposed power. If you want to be completely honest, the simps are the one that's allowing you to stay in power. But if they pulled their nuts out of their ass and let them hoes drag across the fucking flow and started thinking like regular men think, your ass wouldn't have as much power as you think. So before y'all sit on here and say men ain't shit, men are worthless and all this shit, before you start saying that shit, just remember where that power comes from. Where that power of that thought process comes from. Because believe me, you wouldn't have it if it wasn't for men being simps nowadays.
Yeah, Angela Wright is a part of a large boule group of women whose primary responsibility is to trick the black community into supporting this non-black, anti-black woman. They go to CNN, that's a part of the mainstream media, that's been giving Kamala 90 to 100% positive coverage, depending on the network, and they've been doing this since the end of July, when Nancy Pelosi forced Biden off the ballot. Nothing but positive coverage. And now, since Kamala performed horribly during that easy CNN town hall, the feminists and the simps are angry. Instead of blaming Kamala and her team for being so incompetent, fake, and phony, remember, this lady can't even answer multiple choice style questions. And she's the vice president of the United States. Totally embarrassing, by the way. But no, Angela Wright and Charlemagne, they're not blaming Kamala. Instead, they're all sitting on these group chats together, figuring out how they're one, going to blame men, and two, blame racism. That's why they're starting with the mainstream media, which they're a part of too, implying that they're all racist, when all they've done for 90 days was gaslight the world and support this Indian, Canadian, Irish. And now, thanks to Candace Owens, we found out that she's been hiding that she's Syrian Jew too. Why she hid that, I don't know. But it was funny how everybody was running around calling Drake white boy for like the whole summer. But you literally have this woman right here that's more white than him, and all of these shills are insisting that we still call her black, which is what Angela Wright also did in this segment too. She eventually went on this rant about Kamala being a black woman, which again, she's not. Remember, I've been telling y'all she's not like us. And side note, she ran down to Atlanta again for that check balance.
2024, you got the same agenda. You run to Atlanta when you need a check balance. Let me break it down for you. This the real challenge.
She's been
You know the bad part about this? Kendrick literally said you run to Atlanta to get a... and what is she... to get a check. And what did she do? She did just that. Ran to the zesty capital. Boy, all I'm going to say is this. Ain't no way.
Popping up in Atlanta every day. It's like Kendrick Lamar made that song just for her. It's also amazing how no one remixed that song for her yet, when a lot of the stuff Kendrick is saying is even more relevant to this woman's history. She has no black lineage at all. But yeah, Kamala being a Syrian Jew, it shouldn't be a big deal. But if you're trying to hide all your real family members to blackify yourself and make yourself black for votes, I guess you have to hide all the non-black people, except for the obvious, her anti-black Indian mama. But I digress. One thing about it though, CNN has been the main supporter of Kamala Harris since those billionaires and Nancy Pelosi, the threats to democracy, installed this Indian Canadian woman. I'm talking night after night, over 95% positive coverage, while they gave her opponent Donald Trump 100% negative coverage, and they gave zero coverage to Jill Stein and Cornel West. All of this to help their curry queen. And that's still not enough for her shields.
We talk about this every single. This is what
I don't think
I've been
y'all
talking
talk
about this
enough.
every night.
I don't think y'all have enough conversations about it. I feel like I heard more on this network about is Kamala Harris black than I do about Donald Trump being a fascist.
When I first heard Charlemagne talking, before even realizing Angela Rye was there too, the first thing I was thinking was, this guy sounds just like Angela Rye. See, years ago.
I'm sorry to interrupt right here, but every time I look at Charlemagne, it is always to shield as for the Democrats. Like, this man is always talking about Democrat this, Democrat that. But this man never talks about any policies that could help the black community. Like, he always talks about things that's trying to make Kamala the best, or he, like, when it comes down to Charlemagne, he's always talking about, we need to hear more talk about Trump being a fascist. This nigga probably don't even know what a fascist is.
Ago, before Charlemagne started getting with these crazy shills, when he had a mind of his own, and before he started pushing all of these weird agendas, they actually did better interviews back then on The Breakfast Club. But since he's had all these feminists in his ear programming him, he's only an extension of them. This is why most of the time he sounds like an Angela Rye parrot. That's because of all of these wacky misandrists. This was the witch that was able to cast the most effective spell on him. He literally just said that he heard more talk on CNN about if Kamala was black, which is a whole lie. CNN, just like the other mainstream media, including The Breakfast Club, is currently ignoring the mountain of evidence proving that Kamala Harris is not black, and none of them are saying a word about it. Judge Joe Brown exposed this 5 years ago. Then they made the worst mistake ever, sending D.L. Hughley out on Janet Jackson, which is what ignited Candace Owens. Yeah, if they had never gone after Janet Jackson like that, Candace Owens would have never exposed Kamala. They just kept on bullying and beating up on everybody so bad, which is another reason why you cannot trust the mainstream media. None of them. Broadcast TV or broadcast radio. They're all bought and paid for. Yeah, if Charlemagne and CNN had done their job, Candace Owens wouldn't have had to even do this. This woman is trying to be the president of the United States, and none of them went outside of that lazy Google search, which only insists that this woman is Indian and Jamaican, when we all know that Jamaican does not mean black. But that's the game that all of them try to play on us, every last one of them. Charlemagne, you too. I'm not even stunned Angela Rye, because the way she stunned before a non-black, anti-black woman with all these slave masters falling out her closet, she probably not one of us either. But Charlemagne should know better. You knew that lady wasn't black. All of y'all still trying to run with that lie. So yeah, Candace Owens, she did all this research and confirmed this lady is not a black woman. And you know what the mainstream media did? They all ignored it. So Charlemagne, that's a lie. No one's talking about this woman's race on mainstream media. Angela is the one who brought race up on the show. In this segment, Angela was the first to mention racism and blame CNN for not talking about Donald Trump being racist, when that's all they've been talking about. The beginning of this interaction did not get out. They only clipped Charlemagne's part. But Angela was the one who initiated and instigated this whole argument. This is what the feminists do all the time. They will book a black man for a fight and have him take the bullet.
We talk about this every single. This is what
I don't think
I've been
y'all
talking about
it
this
enough.
every night.
I don't think y'all have enough conversations about it. I feel like I heard more on this network about is Kamala Harris black than I do about, Donald Trump being a fascist.
Well,
am I wrong, Angela?
Honestly, that's bull. I'm sorry.
Oh, I like that.
That's no,
Go
that
ahead,
is
Anderson.
no. I'm not. Look, I'm a huge fan of yours.
Okay.
But to say that we're sitting around discussing is Kamala Harris black, like
I've seen that. I've seen
that's
those roundtable
definitely
discussions
on.
a lot. Now
That's
that's
true.
bullshit, Anderson. For you to say that y'all don't have those conversations.
I've never asked somebody is.
I'm not saying
Kamala
you.
Harris
I said
Not
the
you.
network.
He said the network.
I don't think anyone I don't think any anchor on this network has been going around saying, "Is she black?"
Y'all have never
It's
had
definitely. It's definitely
we have
been,
had. Look, I'm sure we have had, nutty people or people who have strongly held beliefs who I may disagree with, who
Yeah.
somewhere on some panel have said something. But
Yeah.
I will just
But
speak
even-
up for what I do on the show. I do believe it's important to get people different viewpoints as long as they're willing to have a legitimate conversation. What I
But
don't like
is-
are surrogates who come out and just spout talking points that they don't even believe, and those are people I tried to eliminate from having ever on the air again.
I think no
And look at Angela's face right now when Anderson Cooper said he didn't want some Kamala surrogates on his show just saying things they didn't even believe themselves, not trying to have a serious conversation, which was her town hall from the previous night and what she should be doing over the next week and a half to gain more support. But you see what they got him on here doing? They specifically had Angela Rye come on there and bring Charlemagne with her to deflect the conversation and make this all about racism against a black woman that's not even black. And by the way, that's the racism that they're not even talking about. They got a whole Rachel Dolezal Jr., a pretending chameleon, cosplaying as a black American woman, and they have nothing to say about that. This is absolutely crazy. You can't make this stuff up.
And another thing, we wouldn't be so focused on Kamala being quote unquote black if she hadn't never said that she was a black woman. Or if they would have never started to prop her up as a black woman. Because I don't even think Kamala actually said that she was black. I don't even think she did. But the fact of the matter is that the Democrats propped her up as a black woman. And you have people like Charlemagne and all these other people that's trying to basically keep black people on the damn plantation. These are the ones that keep on saying that she's a black woman. I don't think I've ever heard Kamala actually really say that she's a black woman. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I've ever heard her say that. And for Charlemagne to be crashing out this hard over this woman, bruh, you need to give yourself donkey of the day for an entire year. For all the dumb shit that you've been saying the past couple of weeks.
No network has honest conversations about Donald Trump. Nobody's had honest conversations about Donald Trump since 2016. I saw last night they were talking about, the double standard that exists between Donald Trump and the vice president, but it's always
Hold on.
the double standard with Trump, whether it's with Hillary, whether it's, against Biden, now with Kamala. We talk about him being a threat to democracy, but we don't treat him like one.
You always talk about this man as a threat to democracy. But here's the thing. Did we forget about the 4 years that Trump was already in office? Yes, he screwed up with the damn pandemic. I'm not going to hold that from you. Yes, he screwed up majorly with the pandemic. Majorly. Caused a lot of Americans to die. Senselessly. Yes, he screwed up. But the 2.5, 3 years before the pandemic, was everything bad? Yes, there was shit going on damn near every day. But let's be honest. Was everything bad? To the point where we couldn't afford our bills. We couldn't afford our rent. We couldn't afford to eat. We couldn't afford gas. That's the shit I'm looking at. Yes, he fucked up dearly with the pandemic. Dearly, he fucked up. But everything before that, I had more money in my pockets. I was able to do shit. I was able to put money aside. I could afford to get an actual truck without it being $1,000 to $1,200 fucking payment a month. I was able to afford to do shit. Now we can't afford to do nothing. It was staring down the barrel of World War III. And you can't even live. And you are on the damn streets. You technically can't even afford to vote for a Democrat at this point. That's what I'm gonna say. You can't afford to vote for him. If your pockets are suffering like it is now, meanwhile, 3.5 years ago, your pockets were kind of full, what can you really say? Yes, he fucked up with the pandemic. I was angry as a sumbitch at Trump too. But right now, you can't afford to be angry at him no more. You can't even afford to vote for this woman because she has no policy that's going to allow you to live. That's the reality of the situation. You can't afford it. If you got $12 in your fucking bank account and you can barely afford to damn pay your rent at the end of this month, and you over here talking about reproductive rights, your entire mindset is off. If you over here focused on abortion rights and shit like that, which is important, I'm not going to discredit it. It's very important. I understand that. But if you're solely focused on abortion rights, meanwhile your money's going over to war efforts and going over to a war that we don't want to get involved in. You can't even afford to pay your rent. You can't put gas in your fucking car and all of this shit going on. You telling me that that's the main thing that matters to all of you other than what's going on with your wallet? That's what you got to look at. I don't have a problem with Kamala Harris as a person in general. I don't. But for the most part, her policies aren't going to affect any of us in a positive way. We have millions of people that's come across the country taking your tax dollars. Your tax dollars going to the people that's coming into the country illegally and going out of the country over to war, to Ukraine and Israel for wars. That's what I'm trying to open your eyes up to. And I'm telling you right now, if I got to go to war, best believe I'm going over there with them level 5 military grade armor. Best believe I'm going to do that. I'm going to build me a power exosuit. I'm going to be the nigga named Iron Man out there in the damn war. I ain't playing. Fuck that. I got too much to live for.
I mean, I don't know what you've been watching, but like, I don't know of any Trump supporters out there or people who like him who are tuning in to me every night to try to get, to be validated in their opinions. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I disagree.
I don't think it's about validating. What you mean, validating the Trump?
Well, you're saying like that we're not. That I guess you're saying I'm not discussing all the things he is saying and doing and pointing it out.
She was cackling it up moments before this, trying to double team Cooper with Charlemagne, lashing out on their own media friend that's been on their side the whole time. But when Cooper started snapping back on them, Angela turned her face into this. And if I had the rest of the clip right now to show you how much of a fool she is, you would see exactly what I'm talking about. Listen, these are agents of chaos. Angela is the real agent of chaos. But what she did was set Charlemagne up. She booked him for a fight because she's not influential enough to get into a spat with Anderson Cooper and survive it. So she pushed Charlemagne up to do it. And Charlemagne better watch out, because when they're done using their tools, they destroy them. I'm telling you, before I even pulled up this episode and read in black and white what was said, I like to read the words, but I already knew this. I realized why the only video we see right now is Charlemagne versus Cooper. But it was Angela who instigated this and continued to pick a whole argument with Anderson Cooper, who said nothing about Kamala's race. Yet Angela started spazzing out about how Kamala is a black woman. It was so stupid. In fact, the whole conversation was stupid and unserious because that's what Angela and Charlemagne aimed to do. Remember, this segment was supposed to be about Kamala and what she would do over the next 12 days to get people excited about voting for her. And all these shills could do was get on there and talk about racism and how it's not fair. So all of the deflecting and distracting, running interference for this lady, Charlemagne and Angela, it's not working. And so yes, they're frustrated. This is why both of these shills went on Anderson Cooper to find somebody to blame and take their anger out on and deflect attention from the real issue of Kamala's incompetence. So they muddy the waters and try to get everyone's attention diverted to racism.
We talk about this every single. This is what
I don't think
I've been
y'all
talking
talk
about this
enough.
every night.
I don't think y'all have enough conversations about it. I feel like I heard more on this network about is Kamala Harris black than I do about, Donald Trump being a fascist.
Let's go ahead and get the conversation started. Let me know what you think about this mess below.
Shout out to Pink Book. And again, shout out to her because, like I said, there's nothing that she said that was wrong. Nothing that Pink Book said was wrong. Honestly, I'm gonna just say this. For us as Americans, we need to actually look at the fact of the matter of what's really going on. Yes, have your reserves about Trump. I'm not saying not to. Never has that come out of my mouth. I'm not voting for him based upon me liking him as a person or me liking him because of him being him and not knowing when to shut the fuck up sometimes. But for the most part, I can't deny the fact that my pockets was a lot fatter when I was younger and when I had less money. I'm having to pay a lot more bills and a lot more taxes, and I can't even afford to fucking live, really. That's where my main concern is coming from. I understand what you guys are coming for and saying, but for the most part, I can't agree on the shit that's going on because of some bullshit. But anyways, guys, like, share, subscribe, channel, support the podcast, subscribe with a comment. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. I'll see you guys later. And thank you guys for listening. Bye, guys.